I was shocked, and I remember the first question I asked him was, is it something that it's treatable? And of course, he gave me his raw answer. He told me, no, it's not. It's not treatable. We manage the symptoms. Well, at times I feel low about it. I get emotional about it. But somehow I have that deep conviction that it's something that I'll be able to handle for the rest of my life. And as a joke, I always tell the people around me that I know that this is not the disease, or this is not the way I'll come out of this world, because that day will come. The medications are a bit expensive than would expect for a normal person who is earning an average salary in our country. And well, it has not been easy for us, and sometimes they are not even available.
One of the things you may want to be aware of is that the presentation of the clinical presentation of clinical symptoms of MG clients, they are not specific to MG. They could also be specific to other neurological conditions. And therefore, you need to go to a neurologist at this point, because at this point now it becomes a little bit difficult now to deal with it from a GP point of view. And therefore, we do something called differential diagnoses. For example, stroke has this. GBS has this, but not this. And then we go narrowing down until where we can pinpoint and say, this particular criteria has met the prescription, or it's good enough to diagnose Myasthenia Gravis.
Dorine, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Thank you.
Good to see you. Karibu Sandy. Karibu. Finally. Have a seat. Karibu on Behind the Diagnosis? Yes. Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Diagnosis, the show where we listen, we learn, and we shine a light on the real stories behind rare and autoimmune conditions. I am Esther Ashira, your host. Today, we focus on Myasthenia Gravis, a condition many people have never heard of, yet it deeply affects the lives of those living with it. To help us understand, we'll begin with a specialist who will tell us what Myasthenia Gravis is.
Myasthenia gravis, often abbreviated as MG, is a neuro condition, or is a neurological condition, which is of autoimmune attack background. Myasthenia gravis often presents itself as a fatigue complaint to many patients, and it often ranges from 5 levels. We can have the most mild, moderate aspect of Myasthenia gravis, which majority of the clients present with a drooped eye, or an eye which is refusing to open widely.
Now that we've had the medical definition, let's hear from someone who lives with Myasthenia Gravis every day. I am honored to have Dorine, who will share her powerful journey with us. Welcome again.
Thank you, Esther.
Yes. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Dorine Gatwiri. I'm a Christian, a born-again Christian. I'm a wife to one man. I'm a mother of 2 beautiful babies. And also I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya.
Wow. Can you take us back at the beginning from where the journey started from?
Well, I might not be able to really tell when it started, but when the first symptoms started manifesting themselves was in the year 2020. It was after the corona struck us. And it started with a weakness. I started feeling weak on my limbs. it also became difficult for me to eat. Like I wouldn't swallow food well or easily. It also became a bit difficult for me to talk or have a conversation. I would pick my phone, call someone, but a few seconds into it, I'm so weak. I cannot be able to have further communication with the person I'm speaking to. It's when I realized that something was wrong with me and started seeking medical attention. So all the symptoms did not manifest themselves at once. As I said, it started with the limbs. Then it would progress day after day, day after day, day after day. Today, I cannot walk. I cannot hold into something. I cannot take a shower comfortably. I cannot comb my hair. I cannot cook ugali. You see, you have to stir the flour. It was not possible for me to do that. And now it graduated to I'm having a problem with my speech. And also the eyes, my eyelids started becoming a bit droopy. That's when I realized that something was wrong and I needed medical attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was it getting a diagnosis? Did it take long? Was it faster? Was it easier? How was it?
Well, when you're first experiencing some symptoms, you are not sure of exactly what is going on. So like a normal person, I went to a hospital in my neighborhood. And of course, the clinician had all these issues, muscles. I told her, it was a she, yes, I remember. Told her I had a problem with walking. Unfortunately, that day I was given a muscle relaxant. They relax. I don't know how they are called, but a drug that immediately I took it, my situation became worse. Yeah. Like now, if I was making it to at least climb 2 stairs to my house, staircases, now it became impossible for me. And with time, 2-3 days, because I'm still taking them and hoping that this is the drug that is gonna help me, but it became worse. And it happened that my husband talked to a friend about it. And to my surprise, I was referred to a doctor who was a clinic in a place called Pipeline. It was an afternoon that he took me to that doctor. It was a very small clinic in Pipeline. So in my mind, I'm wondering if I've gone to a better hospital than this now, where I'm being taken. I'm not sure what the outcome will be. But for the reason that I needed to at least find out what was going on with me, I agreed and we went there. And to my surprise, he looked at me. He advised on a diagnosis for a disease, GB, we call it GB, that is closer to Myasthenia Gravis. He didn't treat me on that day, but he advised that I seek a medical attention from Kenyatta National Hospital within the shortest time possible. And that's what we did. So the following day, we prepared ourselves. We went to Kenyatta in the morning. Of course, we queued for the mini lab tests. I did a CT scan. They took the blood test and the CT scan for that day. Then now with our hospitals, really, and the traffic of patients at the hospital, I happened to see the doctor who was supposed to interpret my results the following day in the morning. So that means the whole night I was at the Kenyatta National Hospital. In the wee hours of the following day, it's when I happened to see the doctor who was at the casualty then that morning. And when she looked at my results, she told me that she was not well. I was a candidate for an admission because in her interpretation, I was getting into a myasthenic crisis. Only that now I was able to at least breathe. But she told me it's better that we try and get a neurologist as fast as possible. So we went to the Doctor's Plaza. Now we are from the main hospital. We walked into the Doctor's Plaza at Kenyatta. And because it was very early in the morning, the clinics had not started operating. But we waited. It's then one of my siblings, my brother, came in, and another friend to my husband. And since the doctor had told us that we needed to get a neurologist as fast as possible, of course we asked her to advise us on, because we have never heard of a doctor specialty by a neurologist. So she had given us a few contacts, and we picked on one. He told us that he would open his clinic. Now he has a private clinic at KMA at around 9. So we decided, rather than waiting at the doctor's plaza, we just go walking into his private clinic. That's when we went there. He looked at my results, and the kind of the symptoms I was, of course, manifesting then. And he advised that we buy some medicine. But before then, he told me from of course, what I'd gotten from Kenyatta didn't exactly show what I had. But from him looking at me and me giving my history for about 2 weeks now, he told me that I am likely to have a disease called Myasthenia Gravis. Well, it was a shocker, to be honest. I've never heard of Myasthenia Gravis before, so I was shocked. And I remember the first question I asked him was, is it something that it's treatable? And of course, he gave me his raw answer. He told me, no, it's not. It's not treatable. We manage the symptoms. But the good thing about it is you're able to live your normal life, nearly normal life, as you manage the symptoms like any other person who is not having the disease. So he, of course, sent us to a lab for a few more tests and a scan. They took the blood. I took the samples, but now I was told the results would be out in about 2 more weeks. I don't know. They do their lab works now. They from a different country. I don't know whether it's South Africa, or don't know the exact country where they took it. But again, I did another CT scan for the chest, and it was clear that I even had a thymoma. My thalamus gland was enlarged. It's not supposed to be big for a lady or an adult who has a full functional immune system. It works with children whose immune system has not fully formed. So for me to have a thymus that is active at my age and enlarged, it might have been the cause of my diagnosis of that Myasthenia Gravis, because it's sent to produce some antibodies that fight my immune system. Yes.
Yeah. So that day,
yeah,
when you got home,
yeah,
you've been told you have Myasthenia Gravis. What was going through your mind?
Well, still at the doctor's office, I happened to check, and there was a poster like this one that was written, "These too shall pass." I think I had faith. My journey has been, well, at times I feel low about it. I get emotional about it. But somehow I have that deep conviction that it's something that I'll be able to handle for the rest of my life. And as a joke, I always tell the people around me that I know that this is not a disease, or this is not the way I'll come out of this world, because that day will come, because I've already conquered. I felt low because even taking the medication that the doctor had prescribed was a problem because of swallowing. I could not swallow, including my own saliva. You choke. Every time you try to push something in, you choke. And you're not just able to take it in. So I struggled. I would crush the medicine and try to swallow. The other option was for me to take an IVIG, which is an infusion, a drug they administer IV. But now the cost of that drug was so expensive. That's why we went with oral medication. Yeah, I took the medication for about a week. The dosages were a bit high, but I managed to calm down some of the symptoms. Yes.
Your family,
Yeah.
how did they take it? Because this is something, you see, you've just received this news. Yes, they are supposed to be there for you, but they also have never heard
Yes.
about this.
Yeah.
How did they take it?
Well, it was not easy for them as well. And of course, when it moves from your nuclear family to your extended family, questions of where this disease is coming from, you start to dig from your great-grandparents. Has anybody complained of such? We found out there was none. Then, of course, it moves to, is it witchcraft or something? They find out, well, no one has an answer, but it's not. It's only that it's not known and it's invisible. Not like I'm in a wheelchair that you see, not like I have something that is swollen somewhere or a wound somewhere. It's something that I feel, something that is inside me and it's invisible. So, but for them, they took it in, of course, with mixed reactions because they have to be strong for me. And of course, they also have to carry the weight of caregiving and assisting me go through it. Yes.
How is the medication? Do you do daily medication or is it monthly or how is it?
Yeah, to date from 2020 September, I do daily oral medication, only that now it fluctuates with the symptoms, I'm having. Like if I feel it's something that I can rest, sometimes you feel weak, but when you give it a rest, like take some time off, just do nothing, just sit and take a rest, it becomes better for you. You're able to like just start your body once more. Yeah, but there are other forms of medication. Like I said, I've gone through, after I told you about the CT scan I did and my thymus was enlarged. So at some point, it was not, when you have that, they do a surgery called thymectomy. They remove the thymus gland. But now from 2020 to 2024, I was not able to do it. One, because the doctor didn't want me to have it when there was this COVID-19 issue in the country because of the infections. Yeah, so I took time. But fortunately, within that time, I conceived. So again, it was not possible for me to go through a surgery when I was pregnant. And I got pregnant in sequence, like my firstborn and my secondborn, they follow each other. Yeah, but in 2024, last year, in June is when I was able to do the surgery, the thymectomy, and my thymus was removed. The symptoms became better for about 2 months. But after that, I got another relapse. That was a bit huge, a bit serious, that I found myself being in the hospital and in the ICU on a ventilator for almost a month.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you got out.
I got out and I give all the glory to God.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, it was a low moment for me, but with the help of God and the medics and my family and friends, we were able to conquer that as well.
Amen.
Yes.
I can say you are a walking miracle.
Thank you.
And we thank God for you.
Thank you.
I'll take you back a little. You've mentioned about you conceiving during this season. How was it like? Like, is it normal before you conceived? Did you have any conversation with the doctors if it's okay or not? Because I know for some autoimmune, sometimes they discourage you.
Well, my doctor did. Well, it was a surprise to all of us. So we waited. He connected me to a gynecologist they would work with closely. But they didn't caution me about it, only that I had very close monitoring of the same. And even when I was almost due at about 36 weeks, I was taken in the hospital. Like, I stayed in the hospital until my baby was delivered. But they were a bit cautious with me even at the hospital, because now the worry was if I get a flare up or I get into a crisis while pregnant. So that's why and also I developed pre-eclampsia. That's why I was taken in to the hospital a little bit earlier than normal. A normal pregnancy gestation period will be about 39 weeks. But for me, at 36 weeks, I had already been taken in, and I delivered at 37 weeks. That was for both kids. Yes, because they had to be cautious just in case anything happens after 36 weeks. Yeah, and also because of the children, there's something called neonatal transit MG, that I may pass over the antibodies because the child has already taken in my blood to his or her system. So there was close monitoring of the child in the event that they needed some medical attention, like a NICU, or in the event that they were not able to breathe properly because of the weakness. Yes, but it didn't happen to both my child, only that the firstborn, there was a bit of a scare, but they monitored the child. She looked a bit weak, but I think it's because she was delivered earlier than a normal preterm. But it was okay. She was fine, and they're okay. And
yes, that's what I wanted to ask. How are they now?
They're fine. They're normal children. It does not affect them. Yeah.
You've talked about you being in ICU for close to a whole month. You have small kids.
Yes.
You have a husband. How was it like? Please just take us through that journey.
Well, I start by saying, from when I was diagnosed in 2020 to last year in the month of November, I'd never had that challenging flare up. I would get flare ups in between, but I would be admitted for a day or two and back home. But this time round, the flare up was huge. I got into a Myasthenia crisis. I started feeling weak, but still stayed at home. Then one day I felt a conviction that I just felt that I needed to go to the doctor. In as much that I thought I understand my body, I'll take drugs, but that particular day, I was not even able to swallow my ground drugs, because we used to pound them a bit. So in the evening, I felt like I needed to get to the nearest hospital possible. So I waited until around 6 p.m. when my husband came back home, and I've shown him things with this condition. So when I tell him I need to go to the hospital, he doesn't ask me a question. He tells me, let's go. So we get to the ER, they check on me, and the doctor, I could see the shock on the doctor's face. Then they're like, Dorine, for how long have you been like this? I told them it has been a month. I've been in the house. I've not even been going to work. I've been working from home. They're asking me, do you feel any pain? I'm like, yes. Do you know you're not breathing properly? You're breathing with your stomach. I'm like, okay, wow. The diaphragm has relaxed completely. It's not working. And in a few minutes, I was in the ICU. That was at night. Come morning, I could not breathe properly. Like, I would now feel it. Like, I'm struggling to breathe. Then it happened that now there was a changeover of nurses. The nurses who came in the morning, you see, they have to, in the ICU, they have to at least, you have to be bathed and oral care and everything. But when they were doing that, I think somehow they realized my oxygen levels were going down and down and down. And amidst all that, I'd started drooling. Again, with MG, you drool a lot. There's a lot of saliva coming out of your mouth. Like you have to have something to hold it or to wipe it out, because you again cannot swallow it and you cannot control that. So I kept on touching them and telling them, animals, Milka, please assist me, have that out, because now I'm choking and choking and choking without realizing I'm not even breathing very well, comfortably. So within a minute, well, I don't know what happened. The last thing I always remember, it's I clung, I held her tightly, and I heard her shout, code. In the eyes, the medics know what they mean by codes and code. From there, I can't remember what happened. I just woke up intubated and on a ventilator. Something I didn't have for a few hours. I'd been admitted in the ICU. I could not see what is behind me, but I could see I have a tube and knew this was huge. But still, instead, I had that conviction that hata hapa Mungu atanitoa. I had a battle with myself to accept it in, but with time, I eased up. And when now my family, they were calling to be given the news of how it's going and where we are at, I could see it was not easy for them. And I had an assignment. Mine was to just nod and tell them, we are good. But after they leave, I would have my own time with God and have a talk, a meeting with God about it. And I was assured that I would get out of that machine. And I remember that was on Saturday when I was intubated on a Saturday, 16th, was it 16th or 17th of November? When that Sunday I was visited and people left after the visiting hours, I called myself into a meeting. And I talked to myself and told myself that if I give in this time around, this is huge, then I don't know. God, I just need your grace. I need your favor. I know you are with me. And all for this also, I'm going to conquer it. And when I woke up from it, there was this song that was being sung from the nursing desk. Waweza tuma neno la uzima. It is sung by Israel Mbonyi. And I got a conviction that whatever that happens now from this place, God, I'll still trust in you. And to date, I'm still trusting in it. I believe I'm healed because my medications are my dosages are a bit low, but I still continue trusting in him. Yes, because it's not something that I can wish that was given to someone else. It's me that has it. It's me that will fight it. And I know that God will help me through it. Yes.
Amen.
Yeah.
How are the kids coping at home?
They were fine. As I said, my support system is huge and a bit strong. So I've always called my sister, my mother was around, my friends were around. Like I really didn't care much about their well-being. And they're quite young. Maybe they were not even comprehending what was going on. But they were fine. They were fine. I could get videos of what they are doing at home, watch them. In as much as I wouldn't talk because of the tube. But they were fine.
What did that do to you? Just see.
Emotionally, it was draining. It was a bit depressing. Yeah, it was a bit depressing.
Anytime you saw your children's video
on video, of course I would get emotional and cry. And noting that I'd also left them with our house help who was about a week old into our house. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
But God took care of everything.
God took care of everything, including my family and my husband, whom I thought he was even sick, more sick than I was because of the emotions and trying to balance between children and myself and himself as a person. Yes, but I thank God for for the support I did, even from, as I said, from my colleagues. My boss, I remember there's a day my boss came, and he came after everybody else had left, and he had not seen me for a while, because as I said, from September to around November, I was not going to the office. And when he came, opened that door and saw my face, because I'd asked for me to sit. So he just came and found me seated. I'm telling you, he broke down. And I'm always telling people, if there was another man who would break down like my boss did, that would have been my late father. And after that, when I went back to the office, he was not able to come and see me another time. They told me that, Dorine, your sickness really affected me, and I could not stand seeing you in such a situation again. That's why I chose to just pray and petition God for you. Why are we? And I thank God, because even my church members, they took their mantles. Also the ladies in my church, it is GCI Central, they were doing a chain prayer for me, and I would always get a representative coming to see me in hospital every day. Once again, I say that was a mission. And we erected the altar of God at Coptic Hospital until the nurses would come and ask me, which church do you go to? Hey, which church do you go to? They're very supportive. And for that was a mission that was fulfilled with excellence. Yeah.
Amen. Yes, I know I've never done this, but I just want you to appreciate some people.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with my family, my husband, my parents, or both sets of my parents, my siblings, my siblings-in-law, my friends. If I start mentioning names of friends, there are so many. Teachers where my children, my firstborn and my niece school, they were coming, and my family, my aunties, my uncles, my grandparents. I'm just grateful. I feel loved by the people around me, right from my husband, my parents, both sets of my parents. Unfortunately, my dad passed on 1 year ago, but he was supportive. And my siblings, my friends, I can't complain about it. Only that I cannot expect too much from people, because people are busy, there's life, everything is going on. But I've learned to be an advocate of my own self. When I need help, I don't keep it to myself. I'll call, I'll say I'm feeling 1, 2, 3, please assist me, have 1, 2, 3 done. And they assist me. Yes, let me call them my caregivers. They're up to the task.
Awesome.
Yes, they're up to the task.
Thank God for them.
Yeah, we do.
Yes. Wow. Wonderful. So up to now,
Yeah.
you've said that you still take medication.
Yes, I do.
How manageable is it in terms of finances? Are they covered? Sometimes maybe you need some tests. Like, how easy or how hard is it for you?
Well, financially, it is a bit draining. The medications are a bit expensive than would expect for a normal person who is earning an average salary in our country. And well, it has not been easy for us. And sometimes they are not even available in some, because not all pharmacies or chemists stock these medications, because they say they're not fast moving. So when you get it, it's a bit expensive. Like for example, there's a drug we take called, I can't remember the name they call it, but the brand name is Mestinon. Mestinon, a tube of a bottle of about 20 tablets. There's a time it was going for 2,000. It has 20 inside, and suppose maybe your dosage is about 8 tablets in a day. So it becomes a bit expensive. You do that month. If you're doing 2,000 for 20, and you're taking 8 in a day, some patients are taking more. It is expensive. For the insurance, well, I think Kenya and our insurance companies, we pray and request that we can be heard. Like for instance, last year I tried to move from the insurance cover I have because we deplete it so fast. And you see the way they put sub-limits to health issues like accident, chronic. Like chronic, you're given so much little money and you're not using the sub-limit for the accidents. So you wonder, I need drugs, but now since my cover for this chronic is depleted, now I'm not able to. I have to have money out of the pocket to buy myself the drugs. So if at least there's something that can be done, especially on people who depend on these drugs, it will be favorable to most of us. If not even most, to all of us. To all of us. If there's something they can do about that. Yes, maybe increase the limits. I remember last year, as I said, I tried to get more insurance companies because one, they could not raise my limit. If it's 2M, I'm trying to ask them, please, can we make it about 5M? I'll pay the premium, but they declined. Another one, because of my condition, they declined my application. So you get a bit low because of that, and there's really nothing that you can do. You just have to have money because you need those drugs, you need those tests.
You're just imagining someone who has Myasthenia Gravis and he is in Shags.
Yes.
Doesn't have a job.
Yes.
And the treatment is the same.
Yes.
Whether you're in Nairobi
or
whether you're in the village.
Yeah, and the doctors are few.
Wow.
Yeah, that's another challenge that maybe in the years to come, because now it's now that people apparently are learning about these autoimmune conditions. Maybe in 3, 5, 10 years, we will have more neurologists even to be sent to those county hospitals. Yeah. Because diagnosis, even getting late diagnosis may have affected your body a long way. And some even die without, like I said, I was in the ICU. I was in the ICU because my diaphragm was weak and I could not breathe. You imagine someone in my village,
yes,
right, in Samburu County. The nurse, even at the hospital, at the ER, they're not even sure what is wrong with this patient. They don't even have the mind of, could it be this? Could it be this? And maybe in that hospital, I don't know whether there's no a ventilator. Like this person has to be intubated and on the ventilator immediately. So that person will automatically pass on.
Yeah. Yes, they can't find help.
They can't find help.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
So hospitals also need to be
equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So we pray something is done.
Something is done.
Yeah. And even the government can come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To support us.
Wow. Yeah.
That's quite a story. And I'm happy to see you. I know we have known each other for quite some time, and I saw you when you had just been diagnosed. Yes, and seeing you today, what I can say is you are a strong woman.
Yeah.
And seeing you here, even sitting with you here, I didn't know we'll even have a chat and just talk about this. This is just amazing. And I am praying that God touches you and continues to give you strength. There is hope. Yes, so keep that hope alive.
Thank you.
Yes, I want you to tell someone who has just been diagnosed with myasthenia gravis. Or they're having symptoms and they're not sure.
Yes.
Because even you remember you went to just a normal clinic and the symptoms that you had. So there is someone somewhere, just hearing your voice, they might know what to do with themselves. Just speak to them.
Yeah, I think we need to be a little bit familiar with our bodies. If you feel something amiss is good, it's not good to just brush it off. Just seek medical assistance. And if you feel that you're not comfortable with that, don't just move into the next doctor. Move to the next facility. Or for me, I Googled, by the way, I'll not lie. When I Googled all my symptoms and when I'm at the doctor's, I'm like, this is it. I'm even telling my husband, nihi. Yeah. So I would, there's hope. It's not the end of us. Like I said, I'm able to work. As I said, I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I work in a law firm, and I've been able to still work amidst all this with a bit of support, a lot of support from my boss and my colleagues. I am saying thank you for that. They've been supportive. So it's not the end of it. You're able to run your day-to-day business. Again, if you are able to learn your body, manage the symptoms that you're having, and also keep hope and believe in God. Yeah, you just have to trust God to carry you through.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank.
This has been amazing, and I would like to appreciate everyone who has stood by you, everyone who has supported you. And I pray that someone else who probably doesn't have support, those around them can hear this and know that whoever has myasthenia gravis needs support.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming to share your story with us. I appreciate, and I am sure someone has been encouraged. I'm sure someone has learned something, even with those symptoms and whatever it is that they will love to know. And again, before I just wind up, I would love to know if you are in a support group.
Yes, we have a Myasthenia Gravis support group in Kenya. We are not very many, but of late I've realized that so many people are joining in, including parents and guardians of young Kenyans, minors, and teenagers. So it's something that I don't know whether we are realizing Myasthenia gravis lately after COVID, or it has been there, only that there was no voice for us to speak out. But we are having that group. We support each other. When someone doesn't have medication or you're broke and you can't buy, you just call our treasurer. There's a kitty for that. We contribute. And once every year in the month of June, there's one of us, a warrior, who organizes, they ride bikes for our what do we call them? Like on the road,
The bikers.
The bikers from Nairobi to Nakuru every Tuesday, and we have a pay bill to just create awareness. So with that, we are able to get a few more people supporting us, and that money we put it somewhere. So when you have an issue with either your hospital bill or your medication, you just call our treasurer and you're able to be assisted.
How does someone join? Because probably there's someone who has no idea that there is
a support group.
Yeah.
I also looked for it through Facebook. I got, we will have the number of our leader in the support group. I'll share that with you.
Yes.
So that people maybe can reach out to her.
Yes.
Yes.
That would be so good.
Yes.
Because it's all over the country, right?
Yes, everybody, all over Kenya. We are having people.
Awesome.
Yes.
Wow. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you again. I really appreciate you. Yes, we are going to take a short break, but when we come back, we will be joined by a specialist who will help us understand more about this medically. Stay with us.
Come check this.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive.
Welcome back. This is Behind the Diagnosis. And right now, I'll take us straight to our specialist who will help us understand Myasthenia Gravis medically. Over to you, Daktari.
Hi, and good afternoon. My name is Chengo. I am the CEO and the founder of the Ability Clinics, and I am a specialist in neurorehabilitation. Today, we'll be talking about Myasthenia Gravis. Myasthenia Gravis, often abbreviated as MG, is a neuro condition, or is a neurological condition, which is of autoimmune attack background. Myasthenia gravis often presents itself as a fatigue complaint to many patients, and it often ranges from 5 levels. We can have the most mild, moderate aspect of Myasthenia gravis, which majority of the clients present with a drooped eye, or an eye which is refusing to open widely. So autoimmune conditions is simply saying, I'm simply referring to a situation where the nerves begin attacking their own body. And therefore, if they start doing this, this attack presents itself as a fatigue to the muscles. So one of the most unique signs that we look for when we are investigating Myasthenia gravis as a disease is complaints that come from the client. And majority of the client, one of the most common frequently reported complaint is unexplained fatigue. You wake up in the morning, you have a little bit of an energy. 2-3 hours later, you feel like you've been working for a whole day. And therefore, you would want to sort of continue sleeping. And remember, you would still wish that you could continue sleeping when you are meant to be on work, or when you are still at the office. And therefore, I've had complaints, or particularly where clients, I'm literally sleeping at work. And therefore, fatigue attacks or becomes one of the main complaints of Myasthenia gravis clients. The other one, which is a very common visible symptom, is on the eye. A drooping eye. An eye that is technically unable to open. Even if you struggle really to open, it won't open. Other than that, when the eye is drooping, on the other mild and severe levels, is when your mobility becomes completely challenged. You are so tired, literally, to walk. And when you are so tired, literally, to walk, then this is coupled often with challenges of swallowing, or even speech that will refuse to come out. Or someone has everything. A patient has everything that he wants to say from the head. But when he makes an attempt to speak, the speech is so slurred or is completely not audible enough. And by so doing, you struggle to deliver verbal communication information. And then let me talk about swallowing here. At that point, when you are struggling to speak, if you attempt to swallow, then you either experience a choking experience, or you swallow and you cough because the contents that you swallow did not go through the right path. And therefore, this becomes at a quite severe level of Myasthenia gravis. And at this point, then you may want to seek serious help for management, because challenges of swallowing could easily lead to choking, or what we call aspiration. And then when you aspirate, you go into crisis, and that crisis can land you anywhere, including ICU, in a hospital bed, just to mention but a few. So how do we manage Myasthenia gravis? So the most important thing is how to learn how to live with it, because you may never get a complete cure for myasthenia gravis, unlike other autoimmune issues that you can comfortably sort of eradicate completely. This one you require to be managed day in, day out. And majority of on the pharmacological methods is steroids, technically. So majority of myasthenia gravis, they keep on taking steroids. Now, management needs the client to be very aware of himself or herself. Like, you need to denote when you are off, when you are on an attack, and say, now I am in trouble. And therefore, you need to learn, or we advise the client to learn how to manage timings. If you wake up at midnight and you realize, oh, I have energy today, please get to work and do the things that matter to you. Particularly what we call productive work. Things like, for example, writing emails and doing such stuff. And therefore, we learn or we teach clients how to manage their timings in a manner that they can use or utilize the time when they are energy to complete some of these things. I've had reports from clients where early morning are best, and early morning begins at 4, 5, 6. By 7, by 8, completely zero energy to perform. Now, I've also noticed that weather sometimes becomes a contributing factor to the energies that you have. And therefore, I've had myasthenia gravis, quite a number of them, who have lived for many, many years, and they live an octo life. During the day, they're either resting or sleeping, but they tend to work a lot at night when it is cold, when it is, breezy, and they are comfortable with it. And therefore, that's a sign on how to manage, how to live with myasthenia gravis. Another thing is learn how to conserve energy conservation techniques. Because your muscles are struggling, therefore, you need to learn how to use a small space, for example, using assistive technology. Like when your joints or your muscles are not working and you have your laptop with you and your sound or your verbalness is still very active, you need to use how to use your voice to convert information to typing. It works awesome. It works very well. Particularly if you get diagnosis early enough. If you get diagnosis early enough and you get to know how to manage yourself, how to be consistent with your medication, and how to begin conserving energy, starting from the early stages of myasthenia gravis, then you are sorted out. Because you prevent yourself from pumping yourself. Can you imagine? You feel very well that you are of low of energy and you have not yet been diagnosed, and you're still burning the small energy that you have to, for example, walking from your home to the stage, to go board a matatu, to go to work. By the time you're getting to work, you are so beat, you have no energy, and when you don't have masculine energy, your psychic energy is completely beat as well. So the best thing for today to do at this point is just rest. And therefore, we also use rest as a management technique where we advise you work, take a break, work, take a break. And when you feel you are energetic to do so, learn how to play around by extending the timings. And therefore, this becomes a very important part. Now, communication, particularly if you feel your voice is no longer articulating the way you want, stop straining and learn alternative. Use this gadget, alternative means of communication so that you can deliver what you want. And the more you labor to sort of articulate, then becomes better. And then the people who should help you manage, if you are a victim of MG, is the people who you live with. And psychosocial support at this point becomes very, very important and very key. Because, can you imagine, you are working with a boss and you are undiagnosed, a boss who wants you to go do a presentation and talk based on what your job description entails. And at this particular point, you are burning that small voice or small energy in your voice that you have. And when it is gone, it's not an excuse. Because sometimes if you're not very careful, myasthenia gravis, they have been labeled to be lazy people. Because you wake up in the morning, you are tired. How do you explain you are tired in the morning? What were you doing the whole night? So therefore, early diagnosis and early intervention and early understanding, early psychosocial support becomes very important. The last one in terms of management when it comes to matters of swallowing. Do not force a myasthenia gravis client who is struggling to swallow to swallow. Otherwise, it can be very detrimental. You don't need to aspirate. You go into a crisis. You attract complications. And therefore, what you may need at this point is how to do what we call swallowing compensation or swallowing maneuver. It's a very complicated process. Worst case scenario, look for alternatives, routes of feeding. At this point, if it gets to this point, then we consider this as a severe case of myasthenia gravis, and you may need to be under very good care of professionals. There are so many options of feeding other than using oral technique. Do not force it. If you are struggling with it, stop it and look for options. Causes of myasthenia gravis. Well, there is really nothing per se that you can attribute and say or put to a point that say this one causes the cause of myasthenia gravis. However, research has shown that it is common in families, and therefore it could be a genetic issue. There's so much that we need to invest in research about myasthenia gravis that we may not be knowing. And honestly, the world of neurological intervention, what we are calling the burden, diseases of burden neurological division, there's a lot of research that needs to go to that. So currently, there is little which is known about a certain particular specific cause that you can pinpoint and say, this is a myasthenia. But what we know is the muscles or the central nervous system itself becomes or starts eating its own nerves, affecting its own muscles, and we call that autoimmune disease, which is more of a huge bracket name that is used to refer to, because there are quite a number of other autoimmune diseases that you can refer to. But one of the things that many people don't know, or we were not told about, is that, every single movement in your body is a motor movement. So you use muscles in everything. You use muscles to open your eyes. You use muscles to articulate words. You use your muscles in speech. And of most important one, you use your muscles to breathe. And therefore, myasthenia gravis can land you into a respiratory issue that requires you to be in ICU so that you can get oxygen support or you can get ventilation support. So Dorine case is, at that point, you can say now it's severe because it is threatening your life, and it's no longer now a matter of managing it or managing survival, but it's managing day-to-day activities, but now it becomes a matter of life and death. And therefore, learning how to support the lungs to breathe even when you are struggling, or learning at what position that makes you breathe easily, becomes very important at this point before you find yourself into a critical care management system. So therefore, ventilation, we could have sometimes how to supply extra oxygen, probably by using a mask. My advice to MG patients, if you realize you are struggling to breathe, it is not management anymore. You need to take yourself to the hospital or find yourself to the nearest hospital. If you find yourself to the nearest hospital and you know you are myasthenia gravis patient, ask for oxygen. Don't even debate about it. Can I get oxygen support? And when you teach these patients, like the case of Dorine, how to ask for your own help becomes one of the most important management technique. You go in a place or you feel you are struggling or you are in a crowd get out of crowd, go in a place where you can access extra oxygen. If it is highly humid, because when it is very hot, if you're in a humid place like Mombasa, you are likely to struggle to breathe big time. So look for an open place, probably with trees, because trees give out oxygen. They take in carbon dioxide. And also living in a place which is well leafy, well circulated with oxygen. A house that has good windows becomes a very important technique for managing myasthenia gravis, particularly if you often find yourself with challenges in breathing. Early management is early diagnosis, and early diagnosis leads you to early management. And diagnosis is very important. Now, one of the things you may want to be aware of is that the presentation of the clinical presentation of clinical symptoms of MG clients, they are not specific to MG. They could also be specific to other neurological conditions. And therefore, you need to go to a neurologist at this point, because at this point now it becomes a little bit difficult now to deal with it from a GP point of view. And therefore, we do something called differential diagnoses. For example, stroke has this. GBS has this, but not this. And then we go narrowing down until where we can pinpoint and say, this particular criteria has met the prescription, or it's good enough to diagnose myasthenia gravis. Now, once you get early diagnosis, I keep on telling my clients there is no time for pity. Get your mental health status right. Very important. And then learn how to manage the condition. Learning how to manage the condition is learning how to live with it. Now, I've had students before, or perhaps people who engage in a lot of in too much work, and you have been diagnosed to have MG, then knowing early enough how to work, to live when you live with it is very important. And this is what we were calling energy conservation techniques. When you wake up, you have energy, you are a student, do your assignment. You wake up, you have energy, or this time today, the voice is not there, but your fingers can compensate, go on your laptop and work. If your fingers are not working and your voice is there, use technology, convert your voice to work with what you do. So this becomes very important. And then also managing working hours. At this point where now, from where I sit, I become a go-between negotiator between the employer and the worker who has been diagnosed to have MG, where we will probably endeavor to change your job description. Probably you do something particular to within your qualifications, what else you can do, or where we engage your employer to negotiate for friendly working timings, what we call a flexi work program. You wake up at midnight, make sure you all do your job. By the morning, you have met all your KPIs, they are off, then you are good to go. You can take a rest. When you wake up, you have some energy, what to do, just to manage. And particularly now, again, to mothers. And particularly if you have small children and how to manage the family needs and how to go about the family needs. If you get to know early enough, then you stand a better chance of managing yourself so that you don't slide to complications. By the time you're slagging down to complication of breathing, complication of speech, complication of fatigue, admissions, then things are not very good. And therefore, if you also get early diagnosis and you take care of your mental health, such that at this point is where I teach the client how to have boundaries of what you can take and what you can't take. How to say yes or no, and your no is in capital letters. and it has no compromise. This becomes a very, very important early diagnosis or early intervention technique. Set your mental health good, set your boundaries, get your job done, work when you are energetic to do so, compensate energy different and use different technology to manage your daily programs. So, we Africans, when all is said and done, and we need to separate our African traditional myths and our African traditional practices from science. Myasthenia gravis is a disease and it is a scientific. And the other day, not a long time ago, I must have been like 2 days ago, one of my clients is telling me, you see, I'm being told, hii jicho inaanguka kwa sababu ati I must have seen or must have looked, and then you are supposed to carry sijui mfupa wa nguruwe unaweka kwa mfuko utembee nao kila mahali. What is that now? Well, superstitions have their own place, but also science has got its own place. My advice to you as a patient, if you are having symptoms, please go to the hospital. Sijui ukulipa mahari ya nani ati huyu ni guka yako amekuja, coming to ask for these practices. They just need to die. So we need to get a place where science should fit, a place where you should practice our traditions and superstitions, and this is not one of those places. My panting shot to clients, probably you are struggling, or probably you have just been newly diagnosed, or probably you are hearing this and you can associate yourself with what we are talking about today. Number one, look for a neurologist. Make sure you get a diagnosis. Once you get a diagnosis, that diagnosis is not a death penalty. I can assure you it is not. Look at Dorine today. Last year, you are in ICU. Here, you are today. You are running up and down. You are managing your own programs. And you are living very normal life. And therefore, what we need is a diagnosis. If you are given a diagnosis, please go ahead and accept that diagnosis. And acceptance moves you to management. If you're still struggling with acceptance, it still tells you that you need a lot of mental health support. And therefore, management of MG requires sobriety of mental health. It's okay to see a psychiatrist. It's okay to see a clinical psychologist. It's okay to see a counselor when you feel that you are not okay. And we need to normalize. If you know you are an MG patient, please normalize talking about your condition and normalize asking for mental health support when you so feel you need it. And therefore, mental health and learning how to manage myasthenia gravis every single day, knowing how to say no and how to say yes and how to have boundaries where when it becomes matters of your mental health comes in, that becomes a very important point. In case you need help, you can always call and ask for help, and do not shy from asking for help when you feel you are unwell or when you feel you need help. Asking for help does not mean that you are weak in any way. That's my panting shot for you today. My office is on Mushai Drive. Mushai Drive is directly opposite Coptic Hospital on Ngong Road, and you can always find us on this telephone number. Our office number is 0780-999-708, or you can always reach me on my personal number on 0726-272223. My name is Chengo.
Thank you, Daktari, for helping us understand myasthenia gravis better. And thank you, Dorine, for your openness and strength. Your story reminds us that invisible conditions are real, and that behind every diagnosis is a person fighting, hoping, and inspiring us all. If you have been moved by today's episode, please remember to subscribe, like, and share this video so we can continue raising awareness. And if you know someone whose story deserves to be heard, reach out to us on the number appearing on your screen. This is Behind the Diagnosis, where every story matters and every voice deserves to be heard.